I had to tell it a couple of times before Terry would let me talk, and he took notes as studiously as any scholar. He wrote it all out, word for word, and then he brought out a second notepad so he could take notes on other things. Finally, he had me tell it to him a third time, slowly and concisely, and when I was done, he sighed happily as he looked up at me. He was sweating, actually sweating, and I was a little afraid of the manic gleam in his eye as he looked at me. I imagine that this is how Paul had looked at Christ, and I didn't much like it. I put my hands up defensively when he came around the table, but when he wrapped me in a hug, I relaxed. "Thank you. God, boy, thank you. Don't you see what this means? This is the last piece. This is what I needed to finish the puzzle." "Really?" I asked, as he returned to his notes. "Because it tells me relatively little." Terry brushed it off. "You haven't seen the full picture yet, but you will. Wow, I can't believe he just went in like that. He was braver than I had imagined." "Who?" I asked, scooting closer to the table as he pulled other pages closer to make more notes. "Horace Dewey. He knew the risks, but he didn't care. He wanted this to end, and he intended to do something about it, even if it meant his death." "Doesn't sound like he minded killing all those loggers for his plan," I grumbled, but Terry brushed it off. "Any of those men would have done the same if they knew the stakes. Most of them had kids. Your father had kids, and they all knew that it could easily be one of their kids taken by the foresters. They would gladly sacrifice their lives to keep the kids of this town safe. They would have." "Careful there, Terry," I said, my voice getting low and a little angry, "because two of those men you're talking about are people I happen to like a lot." Terry looked like he might match my indignation, but he stopped. "Sorry, kid, I wasn't thinking. The point is that many of the people in this town would sacrifice themselves if it would protect the kids of this town. They used to, you know," he said, flipping open an old book and pushing it towards me. I could see an old picture of people drawing lots, the kind of picture that was drawn instead of taken, and the faces looking unhappy. The paragraph that followed talked about something called the seasonal lotto, and it seemed as unpopular as it was short-lived. The seasonal lotto was implemented to keep the children of Rayffered from being taken. It was put into action in 1910 after an outbreak of influenza killed a good number of children in Rayffered, and an alternative had to be found. Children were the foresters' preferred targets for reasons that are unknown to this historian, but it was believed that there was a number taken each season that would keep the foresters from taking others. The number was hard to decide upon, but 6 was the decided upon number, so 6 were chosen by the Black Stone to go into the woods to be our sacrifice. This practice is done 4 times a year, and it allows the children to grow to adulthood so they might participate and have children of their own. It wasn't kept for more than a few years. It lasted for the duration of one mayor, and it was so unpopular that it brought about the rules we see today. They decided that the foresters were better avoided than placated, and the foresters have had to pick up what they can get after that, Terry said. But it affirms my suspicion that they only take a certain number of people every year. By the sound of this, it sounds like they take a certain number of people every season. Do you know how many? I suspect the number is 12, and a lot of it is thanks to poor Mrs. Darnley. I looked into the disappearances of her siblings. They were taken on July 12th, midway through the summer break, and well into the summer season. 2 kids were taken in June, but only 10 were taken from August to October. They got 12 that winter too, and 12 seems to be the most they ever take in a season. The 10 in fall may seem like a coincidence, but I think they were giving back some after taking so many during the summer. We have lost less in seasons, but we have never lost more than 12. That has to be significant somehow. 12 people a season cannot be a coincidence. And if they give them some kind of strange immortality, then there could be many, many more in the woods than we think. Garza said that he saw about 100, but no one has ever seen more than 10 or 12 outside the woods, and let's not forget, there's that number again, too. 12 clearly means something to the foresters. A lot of the disappearances happen on the 12th or the 24th, and the most common number of foresters to see outside the forest is 12. They stop after 12 victims, too. I'm sure there are more, but these come to mind most often. It has to mean something. My question is, why don't they just come into our houses after us? They have the numbers. Why not just break down our doors and catch their limit? Terry shrugged. I don't know, but I'm honestly not upset about it. Who's to say that's not what they're doing on the outskirts? How many of those houses have you found with trees growing in them? Perhaps that's what's happening to the old owners. Maybe the woods got too close and they were allowed to take them. I shuddered, not wanting to think about that. Why the hell do any of us stay here? Same reason we don't care when things happen in other countries on TV. If it isn't happening to us, then we just don't care. And if it is, then you're one with the forest, or the town is your support system. Let's face it, where can most of these people go anyway? Their lives are wrapped up in the town. They don't know anything but logging. They hate the foresters, but they know the rules here. Most have never been more than a couple of towns over. That's why you received such a welcome, honestly. The fact that you've been outside the state, let alone the country, makes you a different species as far as they're concerned. I tried not to think too much about that. So what's our next move? Are we ready to take it to the foresters? I'm guessing not, if that was all you needed from Garza. Terry nodded. There is one more thing I need to figure out first. I need to figure out what the town is getting out of their work with the foresters. Maybe that's why they only take 12. Maybe it's, I don't know, a decided upon number. Maybe, but I don't think so. There's a connection between the foresters and the chemicals used to curb the beetles, just like there's a connection between the chemicals and the cancer rates in town. I'm not the only one who's noticed. A doctor at Rayffered General has noticed too, and he's agreed to talk about his findings. Well, that's good. Do we need the information to go into the deep woods? No, but knowledge is power, and I want as much as I can get. Actually, the deep woods is something else that you can help me with. Me? I asked, not sure what to say. You do know that Garza's crew doesn't go into the deep woods, right? We're actually strictly on the outskirts. I'm aware, but I need someone who knows their way around the deep woods. Since your dad and Garza refused to tell me anything about it, I need a first-hand account. I need you to get in with the deep woods crew and learn the layout. If we're going in, then we need to know where we're going. I laughed. I couldn't help it. Terry, you do realize I've been employed with Camber & Son for less than a year, right? The idea that I would be invited onto the Deep Woods crew it's laughable. They don't let greenhorns go into the woods. It's a death sentence. And everyone knows it. Ah, but you're no greenhorn. You've saved 2 members of your crew from the foresters. You've shown work ethic, and as I learned this afternoon, they're about to promote most of Garza's crew to the Deepwood crew that got attacked today. I felt the ice run through me. What? Who got attacked this afternoon? Terry sat back, sniffing at an old cup of tea before taking a sip. It was Curly's crew. Don't ask me to name my source because I won't, but they were doing extra shifts today and, well, the foresters snuck up on them. They lost 5, and the scuttlebutt is that they plan to promote Garza's crew to Deep Woods operations and put them on Curly's crew. You'll be in the Deep Woods come Monday, so you better prepare for it. I figure they'll call you this afternoon and tell you the news. See if you're interested. Tell them yes, and map the Deep Woods for me as best you can. We need to know where the Foresters' camp is, and I need to know the quickest way there. Once we know that, we can make our move. When we do, it might be best if you're prepared to leave town. Leave town? I asked. My plans had never gone past revenge. I'd never intended to live long enough to walk away from town. I never thought I might find an ally, but now it seemed we were making plans to evacuate once the deed was done. I didn't know what to say, but I supposed he was right. Powerful people would be very angry at us if we did this, and it wouldn't be safe to stay in town once it was done. Yes, you know the mayor and the sheriff are in on this, and if we kill their cash cow, then they'll want revenge. Even if we fail to wipe them out, town won't be safe for us anymore. Where will we go? I asked, unaware that, other than training and being overseas, I had never really been anywhere other than Rayffered. I intend to go to the West Coast. I suppose you could join me, but I would suggest we split up. They'll be looking for us. The mayor and his flunkies. Might be safer if we went our separate ways. It was a bleak thought, but I supposed I could make that choice when the time came. You should head home, Terry said, his eyes looking distant as he sipped at the cold tea. It'll be dark soon. You want to sound surprised when they call you. It was a polite dismissal, but it felt like he had what he wanted, and I wasn't needed anymore. Call me tomorrow and let me know how it goes, though. I expect they will probably call you sometime after sunset. I nodded, getting up and taking my leave. I felt extremely torn by this, and I wasn't sure what to do about it. Big meeting? I jumped and turned to see Susan waiting for me at the top of the stairs. I suppose we definitely got some research done. She was wearing running clothes and had probably been coming back from a jog when she heard me coming up the stairs. She looked good in them, but I had to derail that line of thought before it could gain speed. If I was planning to skip town, Susan was the last person I needed to entangle myself with. She had a business. She had a life here. The last thing she needed was for somebody like me to come in and mess all that up. Better get going, I said. It'll be dark soon, and I... Sure, she said, looking down as if thinking about something. I had my hands around the doorknob when she called my name, and I stopped. I was wondering if you'd like to see a movie sometime. There's a Carson Miles film at the Magic Lamp, and I know how you like the spooky movies. I started to make excuses, but stopped. Why? Why not see a movie with her? We were friends after all, and it was just a movie. I needed to appear normal as well, and seeing a movie with Susan would probably give me the illusion of normalcy. The old catechism about not wrapping her up in my business poked its head up again, but I think I had already gotten tired of that goldie-oldie by now. Sure, sounds like fun. When were you thinking? Tomorrow, maybe, she asked, unless you had plans. No, I said, thinking about Terry's dismissal. I didn't have any plans. Sounds like fun. She beamed at me. Great. Shall we say 4 o'clock? Sounds good. I'll pick you up at 3. It's a date then, she said, walking up the stairs and giving me a good look at her backside and the tight jogging shorts she was wearing. A date, I thought, gritting my teeth as I left. Yeah, it sure did sound like that. Shit. You're still here. Thanks for stopping by. Dr. Plague here. Always a pleasure to see all my new and old viewers coming by for another one of my spooky tales. If you'd like to support the show, you can always take part in one of our channel offers through Fume or Aura, or you can just click on another video when they come up. I'd really appreciate it. For our newer viewers, we also have lots of playlists and other things if you'd like to get caught up. I know some of my series have been going on for quite a while. If you'd like to get my latest book, there's a link down below that'll take you to my Amazon page. Towesey Homestead just came out, so if that's something you'd like to get your hands on, go ahead and have a look down there. If you'd like a signed copy, you can go ahead and email me from my email address on the site, and I'll get with you about shipping information and ship you a signed copy. If you'd like to support the channel in a more monetary fashion, we also have membership through YouTube, and we've got a Patreon that you can get the information for in the description. We have lots of tiers and everything to suit your needs. Patrons that support on the $10 tier, that's our Ghostly Reader tier, get a book anytime I write one, signed and on their doorstep. As you may have noticed, there's a list of patrons and members on the screen, and I'd like to personally thank every one of them for taking a hand in the future of this channel. Well, that's enough for tonight. Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.